Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alan Haupt.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's panel discussion. My name's Alan Haupt. I'm with CA Technologies, and I'll be your moderator for the panel. Before we jump into the panel discussion, I want to give you a little bit of background because there may be a few of you that aren't familiar with xFlow. You'll see the title of the session is Get with the xFlow, CA Service Management. Customers tell their stories about the new xFlow user experience. So let me talk a little bit about that before we jump into the panel discussion. If we take a look at ITSM over the past, say, 15, 20 years, one could argue that there's been not that much change in the way we go about doing ITSM. Yes, we've added mobility, we've maybe taken on a little bit of lean and agile in doing it, but really the processes related to moving a ticket forward haven't really changed that much. We've digitized it, but it really hasn't kept up with some of the technology, the new generations of employees that we've seen. And it's because of these things that CA, about a year ago, took a look at the industry and did some ethnographic research where we looked at the people, the professionals in ITSM, and we studied how they went about doing their jobs, what they were thinking as they went into work each morning, what they were thinking while they were performing their tasks. And there were some pretty eye-opening findings that we found there. We found that that ITSM basically was broken from the perspective of the technologies that were out there for them to use, and they were being forced to do things certain ways that didn't make sense to them. So we took a look at this, and today we're going to talk specifically about how this impacts these level 1 support analysts. Other personas were also studied, but we're going to focus just on xFlow today, which covers the analysts. Some of the big things, they really didn't have a good big picture of what was going on with incidents and problems that they were trying to address. They were dealing with a lot of different queues, a lot of different tools. There were a lot of handoffs of the tickets, between systems, between people. Information was getting lost, history was getting lost, tickets actually were getting lost. And it really made us look at our strategy more and how we go about defining new releases in our roadmaps. And it really all came down to, in a couple words, really designing service management for the human and building it for service. So both a human and a service perspective. And some of the key tenets of our strategy going forward are that we want to make every moment count for the analyst. Now that applies to other personas as well, but for today, we're talking about the support analyst. They want to be able to work the way they want to work, depending upon who they are, what generation employee they come from. They want to work in different ways. We need to be able to, relate to all of them. And then also, they want to deliver quality service. We found that they really look at themselves as support people, customer support reps. And they need to be able to deliver the service to the customers that they feel they need to deliver and that the customers are expecting. So we put this into our roadmap, and many of you are familiar with xFlow probably from hopefully the hands-on lab if you got to see that, or you've seen it over at the demo booth there. If you haven't, we added a lot of features to the product, such as card view, we have a service genius, we've got weather, we got heat, we got a bunch of different capabilities. But we're not here to talk about that today. You can go over to the booth, the demo pod, and to the smart bar and find out all about those things. What we want to do today is talk with some folks who have some experience with this and find out what their take on it is. So we have three great speakers here. We have Stephanie Connolly from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama. We've got David Flores from Belk, and we have Frank Mueller from Axos. So we're going to talk with each one of them and find out some things about xFlow from them. I'd like to learn a little bit more about each of you. I'm sure the audience would too. So Stephanie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Yes, I'm Stephanie Connolly from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama. We're headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama. I hope everybody can hear me out there. We employ about 4,000 people. And in 2011, we implemented Service Desk and then Process Automation, probably about a year later. Service Desk, Service Catalog, USS, and mobile, and now we're implementing xFlow.
Great, thank you. And David.
Hey, David Flores. I'm with Belk Store Services. We're a southern-based U.S. retailer. We have stores from anywhere from Virginia to Texas, about 300 stores in total. And my primary role is to control and manage the ITSM suite of CA tools, everything from process automation to client automation and so forth and so forth. And one of the things we're doing right now is getting with the xFlow.
Great. And Frank, you have a little bit different take on this because you're a partner of ours and a managed service provider, and I'll let you tell the story, but let's hear from you.
Yeah, my name is Frank Miller. I'm CEO of Axos. Our headquarters is based in Germany, and we have subsidiaries also in the Middle East, around about 80 employees and serving 200 customers. And we were actually the first partner to use the CA Service Management Suite as a SaaS offering, mainly to address, well, mid-sized companies doesn't fit it well, but more to the family businesses and the mid-enterprises, so that they have a short term where they really get to the system and get productive actually with it.
Excellent. All right. So let's talk a little bit about xFlow and what's going on in each of your organizations. Stephanie, if you could talk just a little bit about, why is your organization implementing xFlow? What types of things have you seen? What's the value that you're looking to get from xFlow for you, for your company, for your employees?
Well, one reason we're implementing xFlow is we do like to stay up to date with all the releases and take advantage of all the new features. Back in June, CA had a WebEx on xFlow, and so I gathered the help desk and the NOC analysts, and we sat in a conference room and we watched the WebEx, and they were really excited about it. They saw some really good features, and I think it will help with resolution of tickets, the faster resolution, more accurate resolution of all the tickets.
Great. And David, anything you can add in terms of what your organization is looking for and what you're doing with that?
So last year we were privileged to come to CA World, and at that time we saw the demonstration for xFlow, and we were like, oh, that looks interesting. It looks like something we might want to get involved with. And finally, when it came out, we were one of the first ones to say, let's try it out, see what happens. The good thing about xFlow, and one of the things that we actually liked about it was while it's part and parcel for Service Desk Manager, it actually acts as a separate piece, so it doesn't necessarily impact your SDM installation. So we tried it out there, and one of the first things we said to our analysts was, we're not going to give you any direction. We just want to see how do you use the tool, just without any direction, just give it a go. And within 5 minutes, these guys were in there, they were closing tickets, moderating them, doing everything they needed to do without any advisement or control from my end. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the big things that we said, wow, this thing really does have a lot of potential that we can now make use of.
Do are the employees in general, the users of it, or the analysts, I guess, are excited to take a look at this and dig into it?
Oh yeah. So one of the big things with our analysts was, a lot of what we do in SDM is either logging in comments or make the day-to-day tasks of what we do as service analysts. So we go in there, we take the ticket, acknowledge it, go through our process, then eventually we log our comment, close it out, or whatever the case may be. Well, with xFlow, a lot of things that could be done in the command bar was very much simplistic for us. So we could just copy paste comments or whatever generalistic. One analyst that we had, he had to make 25 updates to various tickets, but similar updates on each one. So he went over and said, how can we now take this and put in xFlow? And he just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Something that would normally take him 30 minutes to do in Service Desk Manager took him five or less than 10 minutes to do in xFlow. So that was a tangible savings that we got from the tool right off the bat.
Great, thank you. Mm-hmm. Frank, I'm anxious to hear what this means to you as a managed service provider with many different customers that that leverage the technology through your organization.
Well, actually the Service Desk Manager, it's, as you were in your intro, Alan, saying it's somehow a little bit the old style, yeah. And with certain customers who consume our first level support, which are our guys, yeah, the second level really hesitates to work with it because, then they communicate by email and that kind of stuff. But really with having them shown xFlow, they are now eager actually that we get it from beta into production, that they can work with it, because it makes also our life as service provider and support provider makes it much more easier, because we have 30 guys, so it's a lot of coordination and ticket jungling and working on the right priority first. And with that heat maps, yeah, where you see exactly, okay, where is it hot? Where should you really go in and focus? Yeah, we really expect that we save at least per person half an hour a day. Yeah, because the ticket coordinators have less escalations because people intuitively work on the right priorities because it's nice, sketched up, and visualized.
Okay. Is there anything you could add about how it impacts the support analyst day, and how is their day going to be different now with this versus with the traditional? You sort of touched on that. Anything you could add with, related to the different features you see as most salient to the analysts that you have in your customer sites?
Well, I guess the most important piece actually is that it's more, the old interface, so to speak, is quite, very neutral, very old-fashioned and boring, more, so to say, yeah. And the new one is really, it's modern, it's fun to work with, yeah. So it gives more joy. And as you were describing in your research, yeah, people really want to do a good job, yeah. Our guys are eager to do a good job, and through that getting directed to do a good job much easier. Or one feature, for instance, which is really cool, you type in, have the user on the phone, you type in just what is the problem, and you have really immediately pointing out categories, intelligent mapping, getting on the right side immediately experts who solved in that subject. Of the colleagues already a couple of tickets and is an expert. So if I cannot have a direct help to the end user on the phone, I may even directly connect him to the colleague instead. So the end user experience gets a total different one, and that changes the game.
Yeah, I've often said in my own personal experience, working with apps at home, and whether it's a personal finance app like Quicken or TurboTax or some other app that you love, it really needs to draw you in, and you really want to you have to want to use it, and that is the same at work. And I think this is the type of thing between unified self-service, xFlow. It starts to let people think, oh, it's sort of fun to use these things. It's easier and makes my daily job a little bit easier. So, Stephanie, let's come back to you. And can you talk a little bit about how xFlow will help make the lives of your support analysts maybe a little bit easier, and how it makes their days different than in the past?
Well, currently we only have it in the test environment, so they're just doing a pilot, the help desk and the NOC. But they look at the card view, and it's simplistic. It's like looking at a ticket at a glance. You can see all the information. You have a story timeline that you can click on to see what's happened with the ticket. They have the suggested experts, which I think will cut down on the misrouting of the tickets. And you have a weather feature, and in the weather feature, if it's like a stormy ticket, then you click on that ticket, and it brings up the ticket, and you know that's the ticket that you should be working right now. They think it's just easier use, more friendlier than the SDM interface.
Mm-hmm. Okay. David, anything about your users and how their days are going to change?
So we're a little more adventurous. We actually have a pilot production, so we're actually in our production environment, we are piloting it out. Again, more along the lines because of the fact it's separate from our SDM. So if anything should ever happen or occur, we just go in our regular SDM environment and none the wiser. A lot of what our analysts are doing would be constructed along the lines of managing the tickets. So we have our help desk; they still use the normal traditional SDM interface, but the first line responders, our desk side folks, they're the ones that have to interface and have to deal with this on a day-to-day basis. And one of the things that they like seeing is if they go into a ticket, they can see the historical patterns, like you were saying before, Stephanie, with the log, and it's right all there, so you can see all the timeline. If there's an issue that they can't readily address, you have the suggested experts off on the right. If they have to somehow cut a new ticket for somebody else, they can just type their name in, and they instantly see how many tickets that other person has, and then they could adjust it from there and take control of the situation. So a lot of what our analysts are doing are they are very big on the time savings. They want to be able to, just like anybody else, they want to get through their day as quickly as possible and address all these tickets. So if you have to, go through the normal service desk manager and do your thing, and it takes you a couple of minutes to do this, that, and the other thing, but now it's shaved by 2 or 3 minutes by going to xFlow, right then and there is a big, big difference. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the biggest things that my analysts have told me in response is that, hey, this is really actually saving us a lot of time.
Okay, thanks. There's some new features that we... That wasn't the chair. There's some new features that we've added to xFlow that we actually had in the hands-on lab, collaboration features, and we're showing those over at the demo station there. I was wondering, have you had a chance to look at any of these? Any of you? Have you seen these or not yet?
No, I haven't. Well, I've seen them in the session that was on Monday.
Yes.
Which
yes.
was really good session. Everybody needed to attend that one. There's a follow-up, but it's in the current release, and it's a really good feature where you can mark a ticket as a follow-up, and then you can go back and it'll notify you if you put in a time that you need to work the ticket, and then a VIP stream, which if for very important people, we use that a lot for the VPs and like the admin of the VPs. And we've missed some tickets because the analysts just didn't see that it was marked VIP. So that's a very useful feature in having a VIP stream. I think the other one was like collaboration, and
that's a new one, yeah.
And I just saw that in the demo they did on Monday.
Okay. Any of you had a chance to see it?
I personally have not had a chance to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But to echo what Stephanie was talking about with streams, that is a huge deal. Mm-hmm. Again, you could do some sort of along the same lines in SDM, but the ease of use of just clicking down and filtering out what you want to do in your day-to-day tasks. So if you want to look at, there's these 5 people that are constantly always calling their tickets, and these are very important people, and you want to stay on top of any situation that they might call in, you could set up a separate stream just to monitor them. If you want to just look at a specific queue and you just want to see how that queue's doing, you set up a separate stream just for that. And you could have all these streams will just come up and it will alert you and show you the information as it comes across. So, yeah, we'll have to take advantage of the collaboration features and take a look at that. That would be very interesting, but just from what I've seen so far, it already has great use.
Great. Anything you want to add there, Frank?
Well, what my folks told me is pretty much that 2 features were in xFlow there was really intelligence brought in, which I expect from a software in the 21st century. Yeah. One is that immediately when I type in, it starts mapping for categories and subjects and gives me already hints for solutions. And the second one actually, where my guys wondered when they first installed it and tested it, when they typed it in, that the suggested experts showed in, said, oh, well, we didn't maintain anything. Where does that come from now? And it's really that intelligence behind it, which maps the subjects and how many guys have really solved tickets in the same subject matter and are excellent and knowledge experts. So without anybody having to maintain it, which usually then at the end of the day, as often, if you may have to maintain it, it's old-fashioned and doesn't help.
Yep.
And that's smart engine, which I believe will help a lot in the future then also.
You look like you're going to say something.
The search management feature, that was one of the big things I've noticed is that we had just put it in, we just said, okay, let's see how it goes. And it already started building in the smart tagging features on the tickets, and we're just surprised by that. We did not expect to see that right off the bat. So that was very pleasing to see that.
Yeah. And it comes back to what we talked about with what we found in that ethnographic research we did. That we're trying to, these things that we're talking about here are things that the analysts would be doing anyway. They'd be trying to figure out who's the expert I can go to and get information from, and looking for suggestions. So we're trying to automate that and just make it part of their flow in the context of how they do their jobs. That's what this is really all about. It's the context of how they typically go about doing their jobs. So let's jump a little bit to the future and where you see things going in your organizations with this and similar types of capabilities that are really molded more towards how the users work in their daily roles. Stephanie, anything?
Well, I thought of one more feature that's
go right ahead.
as David was talking. There's a chat and there's an email. So right now, our analysts are using Skype, which in the Monday session, don't kill me, but they said that it would integrate with Skype sometime in the future. But as of right now, it doesn't. So you can do a chat and you can have it logged into the story timeline of the ticket, and you can do an email, and it's all in xFlow. You do not have to go over to Skype someone or go to Outlook to email. You can just do it right from xFlow, which our analysts, they use Skype and email a lot. And so not having to click somewhere else and and then go back and put it in the ticket, attach it to the ticket is very useful and helpful. And so I thought that was a good feature that they added.
So before I jump to another question, are there any other features that you'd like to talk about up here? No. We hit them all?
I mean, along with line what Stephanie was saying with the mail feature, one of the things I did just for grins, I just said to the guys, let me send them an email to the group to see how it works and how that would happen. Said, guys, be aware these tickets might come in because client automation just did a deployment. Be on the lookout for this stuff. And sure enough, the guys came back and said, hey, thanks, we got all of us saw it on the xFlow.
Good.
That wasn't me.
So we're getting some good feedback from the actual
Yes.
users
Oh, yeah.
in terms of what they're saying. Great. So let's take a look at the future and where you may go with this, what you're thinking about, how you see this fitting into the big picture at your organizations. Stephanie, you want to take that?
Well, like I said before, it's only in our test environment, and we've had a few little issues. But CA support is working on them diligently. I've gotten tons of emails this week saying we got the fix for this and this and this. So when I get back after CA World, I hope to have tests working with no issues, and do more of a pilot with the help desk and the NOC, and then roll it into production, hopefully by the end of the year, and have just to the help desk and NOC currently will be the only analysts that I'll be using. But then to see how their take is on it, they already pretty much excited about it, and I think everybody will be. Then roll it out to the other analysts and see how they like it.
You think this is the right approach that we're taking in terms of understanding the personas of the individuals and then trying to look at how they're doing their jobs and need to do their jobs, and then delivering functionality like this through an agile delivery as we're doing?
I think it is, because with the help desk, it's all about the quick close and the quick profile and log in the tickets and not having to reopen the ticket multiple times because you closed it and you thought that was the correct resolution. So you can go back with the suggested solutions and the search engines and see tickets that have been worked and what the resolution is. So it's a big time saver.
Great.
And that's what they're all about is saving time with the tickets.
Yeah, no, we when we did the research, we heard, time savings being more efficient. We heard that they really, they wanted to be happier in what they were doing,
Right.
not having to jump all over the place and try to figure out who to go to and lose the threads and lose the tickets in a lot of cases. So, interesting. David, the future of...
The future is definitely interesting. So our future case right now, we can't really make any production changes because we're as a retailer, this is our biggest time of the year, so we're in a production freeze. Come next year, I want to expand this out to our help desk and get them to use it. But I really think it's going to be primarily geared towards our desk side and our help desk folks, and just leave it at that.
Okay. Frank, future of this.
So we have it at the moment in our beta SaaS platform, and starting now with the customers the beta after the internal beta, and hope to have it in production by the end of the year, and then looking forward to the next release when it will be similar things, hopefully on other functionalities in the service desk, and that's something we're looking forward, because I believe that's the right direction in order to really gain market shares and get new customers on the platform and making them happy with the product, actually.
Okay, all right. A little bit about where we're heading with this. Again, encourage you to go over to the Smart Bar. We have experts there that can talk with you about every feature, bell and whistle of this thing, and show it to you. The demo pod, the same thing. We focus here on the level 1 analyst. Obviously, we want to expand this into other personas. There's a design session for the business consumers. I think it's on Thursday. Is it tomorrow?
Thursday.
Tomorrow or Thursday? Thursday?
Yes.
And that's being held by our product management team, where we have some new designs to put forth for self-service, for the unified self-service, because we've taken a look at those types of personas as well. We're taking the same approach, as I said. So I think there's a few seats left in that session if you want to go in and see those new prototypes and provide comments there. We've talked about other folks like change managers and level 2, of course, and things like that. So you'll see this rollout, of various personas over time as we further expand this process into those areas. So at this point, I think we're going to wrap it up, and I just hope you go take a look at this. It's very exciting, and we just wanted to give you a customer perspective on this, and I think we did that. We have folks in various stages of implementing here. We have customers that are, run retail organizations and healthcare organizations. We've got MSPs, and this works across the customer base anywhere you got the support desk. So please take a look at this feature. It's something that provides a lot of value, and thank you for coming here today. And again, head over there and check it out. So thank you.
Thank you.